Yeah, especially, but I mean, sometimes you'd stand there for what seemed like days before the ball even got you. You know, and then all of a sudden, out of the, I was good at hurdles, yes. In fact, I was more athletic than I was sport. You know, we did hockey at school. I don't know if you've ever done bullying off. You have 1, 2, and then they try and whack your legs. And I hated that bit, didn't like that at all. Steve, I always use the gloves at the pumps.
In a quarter of a mile, turn right onto Bath Road, A4.
I love the smell of petrol. I do like the smell of petrol. I always like the smell of petrol. It's odd that, isn't it? Dawn in Kent said, I always put the gloves on when using petrol pumps. The germs on the handles must be unbelievable. I think you'll find they are. I think they are. Steve, don't worry about common germs on surfaces. Lack of contact with them weakens your immune system.
Turn right onto Bath Road, A4.
Germs up from just about everywhere. Just about everywhere. I mean, in this studio, Nick Abbott uses this studio. Lord knows what germs he's passing on. I have no idea. I mean, we have to get it steam cleaned after he leaves. It's a lot easier.
Continue on Bath Road for 3/4 of a mile.
We don't worry. Perhaps I should be wearing gloves all the time. Somebody who did that, and I can't remember who it was. There was somebody very famous, not in this studio, no, obviously somebody very famous years ago. And he literally had an obsession with hygiene. And of course, the more an obsession you've got with it, the more chance there is of picking something up, which is the problem. So I'm still going to be having my Bavarian smoked thing. My immune system needs to sort of build up some sort of protection. Other stories. Oh, Posh and Bex again. Also, are we bored with this couple? Why don't they go and do something useful? You know, as opposed to just sort of faffing around. Scottish chip shops give the biggest portions of fish chips and mushy peas. Normally it's 555 grams. They give 853 grams. There you go. That's where we're all going to go to Scotland now, aren't we? We're going to go to Scotland and we're going to make sure that we get our... I don't want mushy peas. I really don't want mushy. I've decided actually out of all the things that you can have in a fish and chip shop, mushy peas is not the kind of thing that I'm going to be. How you eat them, I've got no idea. Do they have a scoop or a spoon or something like that? Oh, sounds ghastly. Got to go. Thank you for your company. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to another day of still no rain. Don't forget to download my Little Bit Extra podcast. There is a new episode available every single morning, completely free on the Global Player app. So if you...
In 200 yards, at Huntercombe Roundabout, take the first exit onto Huntercombe Spur heading to M4, London.
And you just go to lbc.co.uk, download the Global Player, and your life changes, and it's all free. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. for Steve Allen's Early Breakfast. Coming up at 10 this morning, James O'Brien is back. But right now, with your Monday breakfast, it's Nick Ferrari.
Thanks, Steve. At 7 o'clock on Monday, July the 25th, putting the cross in Channel Crossings, but the nightmare moves from...
Exit the roundabout onto Huntercombe Spur.
Leadership candidate for the Conservatives, Liz Truss.
The fact is that the French authorities have not put enough people on the border. I'm very clear that we need to see action from them to resolve the terrible situation that people are facing.
Meanwhile, her rival for the job, Rishi Sunak, talks tough about him.
Keep left at the fork.
What racism is. I've experienced it myself, so I want to be clear with you all. There is absolutely nothing racist about wanting Britain.
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
The news, the worst NHS staff crisis ever. 12,000 hospital doctors, 50,000 nurses, plus...
A man's died after being shot near a busy underground station after a separate fatal shooting less than 24 hours before. I'm LBC's Charlotte Lynch in Wood Green.
It's all after the 7 o'clock news on LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 7 o'clock, MPs have warned that NHS staff shortages are posing a serious risk to patient safety. A report from the Health and Social Care Committee has found staff are at risk of burnout, coping with a shortfall of 12,000 doctors and more than 50,000 nurses and midwives. Stephen McIntosh from the cancer charity Macmillan says current problems will only get worse.
3 million people are living with cancer. By 2030, that will rise to 4 million.
NHS England is drawing up long-term plans to recruit more staff. There are warnings for long delays to cross the Channel could be repeated every weekend throughout the summer. The 5-hour queues have been blamed on extra passport checks needed since Brexit and understaffing of checkpoints by French authorities. The AA says the check-in process has to be speeded up significantly. Simon Calder is the Independent's travel editor.
The blunt fact is we asked to be treated like this. It's not that they're picking on us or anything. We said we want to be third country nationals. We want to have our passports stamped when we go into Europe. We want to have all of that bureaucracy.
A woman has died and 3 people have been taken to hospital after a caravan caught fire in Suffolk. It happened at a holiday site in Saxmundham yesterday morning. In Surrey, firefighters declared a major incident after a large fire on Hankley Common. They're still at the scene this morning. Liz Truss's team have questioned a pledge from Rishi Sunak that he would take a tougher line on China if he becomes Prime Minister. The former Chancellor has warned China represents the biggest long-term threat to Britain. But associates of his Conservative leadership rival say the Treasury has been pushing for an economic deal with China over the last 2 years. Tamara Eccleston is offering a £6 million reward for the return of her stolen jewellery. She was the victim of Britain's biggest ever burglary when her home in Kensington was raided in December 2019. 3 people were jailed in November, but most of her possessions have never been recovered. In the city, the FTSE 100 will reopen at 72.76 after closing up 5 points on Friday. The pound buys $1.19 and €1.17. The weather, a mix of sunny spells and showers, the rain turning heavy and thundery across southern Scotland and then northern and eastern England. Feeling a little cooler for most with a breeze, but still warm in the southeast. A high of 25 Celsius. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Holly Harris.
At Lidl, we're big on a summer of quality for all, so it's time to get those Barbies out with 2 Vermondo vegan burgers just $1.59, 2 Seabass fillets with butter for $3.49, and 2 deluxe British bone marrow beef burgers just $2.69. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes NI. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
3 minutes after 7 on Monday, the 25th of July. Crisis at the crossings. People waiting number of hours. A summer of holiday hell to follow. We'll give you all the details. As it would appear, Dover at least is starting to move a little bit better, and there are hopes of Folkestone too. Full report on that. And also from the French side of the equation.
French officials have suggested that Brexit has made travel chaos a new normal for British holidaymakers. I'm Peter Allen, reporting for LBC in Paris.
To the rows, who will be the next Conservative leader? Therese Coffey, a prominent supporter of Liz Truss's bid to be leader, asked yesterday, well, what was Liz Truss's greatest achievement in government?
For people who understandably care about the environment, she was the first person to actually reintroduce beavers.
Is that really her big achievement from the 7 years
I'll give you
ago?
an example of something that she initiated that going.
OBC's Ben Kentish talking to Dr. Coffey there. Meanwhile, the crisis, indeed the worst crisis in staffing since the NHS was created. Holly Turner, an officer with the GMB union.
There's always a shortage of qualified nurses. There's always shifts being put out to agency to try and fill them. NHS staff have had year-on-year real terms cuts to their pay.
Which is the bank that's now going to shut scores of more branches. Stay tuned, I'll tell you in the first hour. And also,
After the outrage over what happened to Child Q, LBC can reveal just how many children are being strip-searched without being arrested first. I'm Rachel Venables with the story.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
those horrific queues were finally reduced at Dover, but the crisis moved on to Folkestone, and now there are grim warnings. Holidaymakers could be hit with a summer of weekend travel disruptions. There were chaotic scenes, bumper-to-bumper traffic stretching for miles, marring the beginning of the great summer getaway as schools broke up. Details now, LBC's political editor, Theo Ashford. Theo.
Queues at Dover and Folkestone of up to 21 hours. Families forced to sleep in their cars. Hard shoulders turned into U-runs. It has been a miserable first weekend of the summer holidays as millions have struggled to get away via ferry and Eurotunnel. The problems caused by longer passport checks were required by the French now that the UK has left the European Union. According to Doug Bannister, us at Dover Port.
Recognising that we are in a post-Brexit environment, which means the transaction times through the borders are going to take longer because the passports need to be checked, they need to be stamped, etc.
The situation is better in Dover. The Eurotunnel terminal in Folkestone is now the hotspot for holiday hell. Spokesman John Keefe also blamed Brexit.
People have been having their passports controlled going into the EU for the last couple of years, but the travel levels have been so low that nobody's really noticed the difference. It's only now that people are starting to see that the time taken to control the passport has an effect on the overall travel time.
Now, the problems apparently rest on 5 French border officers failing to turn up for work on Friday morning. Their checks, as you know, Nick, are carried out on the British side, but post-Brexit, it now takes up to 2 minutes to check each car. That's 3 times longer than pre-Brexit. Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary and frontrunner to be the next Prime Minister, said the delays by the French were unacceptable.
Well, the fact is that the French authorities have not put enough people on the border. And I'm in touch with the French authorities. I'm very clear that we need to see action from them to resolve the terrible situation that people are facing. This is a situation that has been caused by a lack of resource at the border. And that is what the French authorities need to address. And that is what I am being very clear with them about.
Liz Truss concluding Theo Washington's report. Let's get the situational picture then from Paris. LBC's correspondent in Paris, Peter Allen, reports. Peter.
Good morning, Nick. Paris itself was very badly affected overnight by all this transport chaos. Eurostar late last night was cancelled. Lots of passengers have had to stay here in Paris, including lots of British ones, of course, trying to get home. And the situation looks as though it's going to continue. The French are saying that this is due, of course, to the huge weight of traffic at this time of year, but also it's an aftermath of Brexit. Everything from government ministers to the local MP in Calais, Pierre-Henri Dumont, are saying that if Brexit hadn't happened, these delays wouldn't be anything like as bad, Nick.
Peter Allen, thank you. Let's go straight to Sylvie Berman, who's former ambassador of France to the UK, and is with me now. We have conflicting stories then. Some say, Liz Truss say it's due to not having enough French staff. Others say it's a result of Brexit. What do you believe it to be? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I think in any case it's a mathematical consequence of Brexit, because in the past you didn't have so long checks, and now you need to have checks and also to stamp the passport. So, well, it's longer. So before, because of COVID, it couldn't be seen, but now, because it's the first days of holidays, and so that's the reason why also it's clear. Apart from that, I understand that there's been some contacts between our transport ministers and between our foreign secretaries as well.
But of course, Britain was never in the Schengen free travel zone.
Yeah, but it was not so long. I took the Eurostar twice last month, and it was much longer.
In 2 miles to Junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
It would have helped if the Dover side, the French border controls, had staffed it fully.
Well, maybe there was a problem the first day. I know it's better now, but, well, they said it's because of a technical problem that I can't judge because I'm not a member of the government. But anyway, it's longer than it used to be, and it's going to be, like someone said, I think in the UK, the new normal.
Well, this obviously can't work for both countries, so it has to be resolved for French people arriving in the United Kingdom and for Britons trying to get through France, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. But, I understand that Dover Port Authority is requested to expand the facilities, and I understand that it has been refused by the British government. So, of course, because of Brexit and because it takes longer, and it's annoying for everyone, I agree with that, for the French and for the British. It's more for the British when they have to come to France during holidays time, but yes, there should be adaptation and, of course, cooperation between the two countries.
Lastly, you have former ministers in the United Kingdom say the best answer would be people not to go to France on their holidays and go to countries where you're welcomed. How would you respond to that?
Well, they're welcome in France, of course, but I know each time there is a problem of immigration.
Not really a welcome if your border staff don't turn up to help, is it? I
Well,
would call that particularly welcoming.
Well, I don't know if there has been a problem for that, but you can't say they're not welcome in France. This is not true. They are most welcome, and even if there was a technical problem at the border. But again, it happens also for us when we're going to...
In a quarter of a mile, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Yeah, it's weird. That technical problem keeps moving around. I'm grateful to you, Sylvie Berman. Thank you, former ambassador of France to the UK. Maybe John Redwood's right. Go to a country where they welcome you. Let's speak to someone who's, I think, made it to France. It's Peter. Now, where are you now, Peter? Tell me about your...
Exit at junction 3.
Yeah, good morning to you, Nick. Didn't think I'd be speaking to you on holiday, that's for sure. Long time listener
very nice.
morning.
In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the 4th exit onto the Parkway, A312.
About an hour outside France, so it was a 2-hour crossing on the other side. We set off nice and early Saturday morning. A party of 5 families, 20 children. Really looking forward to it because it was cancelled last year, so we carried it over.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and set off very early. Got within, I think, 3 miles of the tunnel, and then all the chaos started.
So you were trained through Folkestone?
Yeah, we were. That's
right,
correct.
okay.
Yeah.
And when you say the chaos, how long were you delayed?
Wow. So we were supposed to be getting. We got knocked back for an hour on our original time. They said so. It was 11:24 to 12:20. We sort of hit around 10 o'clock in the morning in the area 3 miles away, and then we just didn't move.
How many hours?
Total journey.
How many hours?
Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway.
21 hours. Do you mind me asking whereabouts in the UK you set out from? Where are you from?
Yeah, so we're not too...
Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile.
And where are you getting? Are you there now?
It should have been we're here now. This is our... Yeah, so I'm up early this morning, relatively early because everyone's pretty exhausted, but one of the parts of our family actually set off 2 hours before us because they didn't get their time changed, so they set off at 6 o'clock in the morning. We hit the roundabout. They were the other side of the roundabout from us because we got out and saw them. It just wasn't moving, and they were 30 hours.
Oh, God.
They were 500 feet away from us, but that 500 feet caused them to be another 9 hours behind us.
This is incredible. No wonder everyone's exhausted. So have you got a house? Are you taking a house there, or what's the story with you?
No, we're on a site here, you know, a little site, lots of British here.
Right.
Yeah, everyone's enjoying it. The weather's lovely.
Okay.
You know, we've had a day to reflect and obviously relax.
Yeah.
You
Please
know,
tell me you're going for 2 weeks.
Be sorted. We're not, I'm afraid. That's the worst of it. So everyone's still in bed. I think I'm the only one up this morning.
But hold on. If you're going just for a week. So come Friday,
yeah.
It's
eaten into our we're back Saturday. It's eaten into our holiday.
Oh.
It was just the worst experience ever.
Who do you blame?
I got asked this when I spoke the other day. I don't want to blame. That's not the answer. I don't think, you know, this we're becoming a bit of a blame culture. You know, we just need it sorted. The most important thing is, like I said before, all the families are hard working. You know, you work towards your holidays. It's that quality time. You know, we're here now, and when you reflect back, you relax and, you know, you put it behind you. But believe me, it was very, very stressful.
You get some rest now. Have a fantastic week. You've got the whole of the week to look at. It's only Monday. You're not on the road again until the end of the week. I hope you have a fantastically swift journey back and have a great break, Peter. Thanks.
In a quarter of a mile, at Wagoners Roundabout, take the 2nd exit and stay on the Parkway, A312.
Warned that NHS staff shortages are posing a serious risk to patient safety. The AA says this weekend's travel chaos at Dover could be repeated throughout the summer if passport checks aren't significantly improved. Tamara Eccleston is offering a £6 million reward for the return of her jewellery, stolen in Britain's biggest ever domestic burglary. The weather, a mix of sunny spells and showers, still warm in the southeast, a high of 25 Celsius.
LBC Travel, I'm Anne-Marie Walsh. On the clockwise M25, traffic is being held at junction 7 for the M23 to
exit the roundabout onto the Parkway. Continue on A312 for 1.5 miles.
As a result, it's queuing for half an hour on the London-bound A13 from Grays. In Wood Green, the high road is closed both ways for a police investigation near to Wood Green Station. Seven Sisters Road in Finsbury Park is closed near to Finsbury Park Station. That's for a police investigation. And in Chelsea, Beaufort Street is closed both ways for a police investigation between Kings Road and Battersea Bridge. On the tubes, no service on the District Line between Earls Court and Kensington Olympia, with minor delays on the Hammersmith and City Line.
This is LBC. EE's full fiber is here. New broadband that can handle anything. And whatever you think that means, times it by a zillion and dip it in chocolate. Because this broadband connects 100 devices in your home. This is broadband that can handle anything. This is EE full fiber, powered by BT.
18.3% UK availability. Check coverage at ee.co.uk.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973. LBC.
The bliss after a long walk on a chilly day. Opening the front door and feeling that rush of warm air send a tingle through your cheeks. At Swale Heating, we help you stay warm. It's why we offer smart thermostats from top manufacturers like Worcester Bosch, so you can switch on the heating when you're close to home and always walk into a lovely toasty house. Visit swaleheating.com. Rely on us to keep you